back, and we'll just cloak, cycle the MWD once, make it harder to decloak us. And then I can go on into the sort of good battle view. I think we can still use tack overlay here if we're close enough on grid. No, it's not going to show me that. Oh, they're warping. Looks like they're just warping to the Jackdaws. You'll likely see these Jackdaws warp off immediately. Yeah, there it is. The scalpel. If he doesn't warp soon. Okay, he's warped. If you're the Muninns, I mean, I think you've got enough Muninns here to do some serious work on these Feroxes. But I don't know that they have. They have a decent amount of logi. It's got scythes as well. Is Elo here? Yeah, so now you see that the Muninns are warping in. If they get a Dictor bubble off soon, not quite quick enough. No. Yeah, Elo used to run the Muninns. Okay, so now we have the Canes jumping in here, and these Muninns are probably going to start pulling range, and maybe they'll just get spooked and warp off immediately. But more likely they'll start kiting around with the hack MWD bonus. They need to start moving though, because the longer they stay still, the more likely they're going to get. They're not going to trade very ISK efficiently here. So the Ferox is coming back. I think you'll likely see the Jackdaws come back soon. There are no Dictor bubbles yet. The Saber is going into bubble here. Links are being fired from everyone, which means they're all gressed. You're seeing Hurricanes get popped here. Oh yeah, you're right. Elo did join CO2. I don't think he's here. Yeah, I don't see Elo here. I think he's USTZ anyways. But yeah, he can do some work with the Muninns. So you do see some Muninns definitely getting killed here. But these Hurricanes are not going to last too long. And there's not a whole lot of Feroxes here. The fact that these Hurricanes got caught the way that they did, with CO2 all in a ball ready to go, and the Hurricanes spread out around the gate, means that they're going to lose a lot more people than they normally would. I think the ISK trade though here is going to go heavily in Test Brave and DV's favor. What I'd like to see is, if I'm FCing on the orange side right now, I want to see bubbles start to cover the CO2 fleet. Because they are trading back and forth, but it looks like now that everyone's here, they're going to lose this fight. So at this point, I'd be saying get in there and get the bubbles going. Oh, it looks like there is a DV Hector on top of the Muninns. He's receiving reps right now. His Hick bubble's not quite up yet, so I think he's just waiting for them to try to make a run for it, and then he'll throw his bubble up. But right now, it looks like they're just getting hazed. You're going to lose critical mass on these Muninns soonish. And their Hugin is going really slow. Looks like he might be webbed or scrammed. Oh no, it just had his MWD off. So the Muninns are kind of regrouping here, but this is a lot to deal with. There's still this random DV broadsword following them. It looks like they are smart bombing, so they're trying to smart bomb to kill drones that are probably on them. Let's show all brackets. There's drones on them, as well as they have the potential to firewall a few of these Jackdaw missiles. It looks like CO2 is actually holding up pretty well here. They've stopped taking as many losses now that they've regrouped properly. There are still some going down. But this is the last wreck that I see right here. And they're certainly getting some kills. These DV guys need to be, their FC it looks like is in a vulture way up here, and the rest of his guys are pretty far behind, so I'm not sure what the situation is. It looks like CO2 is definitely the most organized on field right now, aside from maybe Brave, who's staying at distance, and the Test Jackdaws as well. But the Dangerous Volta fleet looks like it's in a little bit of a disarray. It looks like the DV broadsword has pulled back. You have CO2 scimitars here. I'm not seeing any more CO2 losses yet. And it looks like basically the Muninns are kiting these hurricanes. And that's not really, you know, all these Muninns are staying nice and close together because they're using their prop mod and they're anchored up well. But this DV fleet is very, very spread out. So you're going to have a lot of these guys that are not in their proper range. And the dudes at the front of this conga line that you see here, I'm going to turn drones off again. You see this conga line, right? So the guys at the front are going to be the ones that are getting targeted, and they're not being able to fire back as effectively because their fleet is so spread out. And now the more of these ships that get lost, the worse of a situation it looks like for Test and company here. CO2 also has a jump bridge that leads a few systems from here, so it's possible they could be getting reinforcements more quickly than Test, Brave, and DV. We will have to see. So you do have this girl cop in the broadsword that's still going in and trying to grab these dudes. It looks like he doesn't. He's just using the scripted hick point, but he's not using the like mega scram because the scimitar is still moving pretty quickly. So let's try to get an idea of exactly where these fleets are. So you have the CO2 Muninns down here, their logistics behind them. You have Brave Feroxes up here, their logistics behind them here. You have Test Jackdaws here. Their logistics will be anchored within their fleet, and you see the little frigates here. Those are the scalpels. And then what's left of the DV Hurricane fleet here, with just a few scimitars with them. It doesn't look like any command ships got a headshot yet. So at this point, I'm assuming both sides are probably scrambling for reinforcements to come. Yeah, this looks like a fun little fight. I agree, Co2. This is the kind of fight that I love to FC in. It's definitely harder for the orange side here because these are three groups that have to coordinate, and it's not an easy thing to do. It's very difficult being in multiple comms at once and being able to organize. It's different when you have multiple fleets from the same organization that can be like using the same comms and kind of cross command keys and so on, but when you have to be in multiple different comms programs, yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. So we'll turn all brackets back on just so we can see some wrecks. We see some test Jackdaw wrecks being generated here. This looks like it might be a scalpel wreck from test. We do have one Muninn that is way out here. He should be the primary right now. If you're FCing the orange fleets here, your primary should be this Muninn as he's separated from his fleet. And he's going to be further from these logistics. Doesn't look like he's being primed quite yet. I see some ECM drones on him. And now he's probably being shot now. You can see the shield repairs starting to, these blue wavy lines are the shield repairs starting to go. Looks like CO2 just lost a Muninn. Now drones are starting to come back out. You'll probably see the smart bombs start to fire again as these drones getting close. We have, every time you see a little flash, that's another ship being killed. So we had a flash up here, flash down here. So that'll be another kill, but it could have been, yeah, maybe not. Sorry if you guys can hear that phone in the background. It's quite loud, but I'm not gonna get it. So this Muninn, it looks like he is now micro-warp driving towards his fleet. He survived so far. We have a lot of wrecks here, and then the remainders of the fleets. Now, these fleets are now closing in on the Muninns, but the Muninns can do a lot of damage from closest range as well. It's not important, Lizard, trust me. Hey, Wims, what's up, buddy? So you can see these smart bombs going off, these little circular sort of light effects. Those are the smart bombs. Those will be firing off to try to kill some of these drones. So, and yeah, Gegex is the man in charge here today on this fleet in the Tengu. So, yeah, but yeah, this looks like a fun little fight. Let's turn brackets off again just so we can try to get an idea of what's left here. I'm gonna do a quick D-scan. Where's the gate? Okay, the gate's up here. So when you see pods appearing, you can see that it's likely. So the Logi's actually in a kind of a bad spot right now. You can see that they've been kited, or the Muninns are kiting in such a way that their Logi is actually in the worst spot you can be, which is between your fleet and the enemy fleet. And you can see now that they're starting to burn at a sort of an oblique angle here, and they're going to try to swing around the backside of their fleet. So I'll go ahead and throw the D-scan in Twitch chat. So you can see there's not a whole lot of ships on field at this point, but you know, it's a bit early for everyone involved. So now we have Macarials from Fraternity landing on field. These will be on CO2's side. I will really quickly just add Cure to the red team. Now I believe these are going to be artillery max or maybe autocannon. They're certainly not smart bombs. One Fraternity pallet is down already. So they're kind of landing on the what's left of the DV Kane fleet. Starting to shoot that. Let's see, who is it? What was this guy in Elite Destroyer? Okay, so no Macariel's dead yet. But if you are the orange team right now, you pull off and you start shooting these Macariels. They're the shiniest thing on field, and they're probably the easiest thing to kill right now because they appear not to have much support. Yeah, there are just a few Macariels here and a few Orthruses, so these will probably be full kite fit. So you've got some small gang stuff happening here. So let's turn brackets off again. And the camera work is getting very difficult, so I'm sorry about the constant moving. So yeah, a couple of frat guys here, cruiser wrecks. I just want to make sure I see if any of these mechs blow up. So now we're in a multi. There's two fleets on the side of CO2, so you have the CO2 Muninn fleet and then the Fraternity Macarial Orthrus gang here that's kiting around. And then the tide is looking like it's turning and continuing to turn. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have reinforcements from the orange side coming in soon. Random PH Condor, probably. Wherever it was. Oh, it looks like maybe it's dead now. Oh, nope, here. There's a Darkness Saber. Uh-oh. That's a little confusing. Yeah, I think Horde is out and about fighting fighting the Entosis stuff. I don't think what they've brought is going to be helpful on field here. So you see the Muninns and the Macarials and whatnot are now actually kind of aligning themselves on one side of the fight. It looks like the Jackdaws are mostly gone, completely gone. Yeah, I don't see them on field at all. Still have Brave Feroxes, just a few. DV Hurricanes, just a few. But if they don't get some help soon, it's going to be lights out. And you can see, excuse me, you can see, you got a glass. You can see that the CO2 Sabers have Or no, it was that Darkness Saber. Kind of like gone in for the kill here. The blood's in the water. Now, some of these guys aren't actually in the bubbles. Looks like the Brave Feroxes aren't actually in the bubbles, but the DV guys are, and the Brave Feroxes are going to come in and try to help shoot this Macarial. But meanwhile, CO2's Muninns fleet is moving in on the Brave Logistics. And it looks like they are losing some logistics here. And these are Basilisks and Scimitars, Tech 2 logistics, so it's going to be it's very, very important ships that you don't want to lose any of. We do have one Macarial from Fraternity tackled by a Brave Stiletto, and it looks like he's the primary right now. And he does not have Logi, so... And there he goes. He had that nice little skin. So there's the Macarial getting killed. Brave Logistics making a run for it here. But you can see some of these logistics are still tackled. It looks like some of the Entosis Scepters maybe have hooked up with this fight to try to add more tackle. So at this point, I think Brave, you're probably going to want to try to get out. There's no bubbles, but I mean it is Brave, so as long as they're killing stuff, they'll probably stick around. So what was that? What just died down here? Just a scepter. We'll turn brackets back on just so we can see if wrecks show up. Let's get a better angle on this. Maybe this way? Yeah, this is a little bit better of an angle. So CO2 Muninns are still here. Looks like CO2 Saber is now getting involved. We have some of these Scepters who have come in to try to help tackle these things are getting killed. You'll have it looks like the Brave and the DV fleets have separated spatially, so they're able to more effectively cover each other from tackle. And the Muninns are coming in closer now. I'm really surprised I haven't seen more CO2 showing up to this fight. So I think they're only a few jumps. It's also possible that there are some Sabers that are making that a difficult proposition. So we do have a Darkness Saber here. The Fraternity Max are coming back in. They have a Huguenot as well. Looks like the Brave guys are leaving the field, but their FC appears to be tackled. Oh, Canera. How well you fought, my friend. This is where it ends. Just pour one out for our buddy. Oh, he's in armor. Not long now. Oof, there he goes. Poor guy. So it looks like CO2 wins the field. Question is, during all of this nonsense, how did the Entosis go? And it looks like the defenders have gained 10% since we last checked when we first started the fight. So defenders were at 35%, now at 45%. And we're just going to keep an eye on this fleet here. If anyone knows that there's an actual other fleet fight happening somewhere else, feel free to let me know and I'll go take a look. But I'm not going to chase Scepters around on Entosis nodes because that is boring. So it looks like just clean up here. Yeah, that was a good fight. Be interesting to see what the Iskwar looks like. I think CO2 definitely did some pretty solid work there, that's for sure. We can check the Rex real quick. Let's show all brackets on this just so we can keep an eye. So organize this by alliance. So we have Brave lost a bit, but they managed to escape. CO2 lost. Mimitar cruisers here, these will be scythes, so pretty easy kills but very low value. All these elite cruisers will be Muninns, so decent, couple 100 million apiece. DV lost a lot of their hurricanes. And Test had a pretty small fleet, but it looks like they lost most of it, Jackdaws. So ISK-wise, you'll probably have DV, Test, and CO2 maybe similar numbers. I don't know, it's hard to say. All that loot, yeah, I know, right? This is you'll watch if I stay on field here, and CO2 leaves the field, you'll see Brave will come back, and Horde will come through a wormhole somehow and show him up out of nowhere with a bunch of Noctises. Alright, so CO2 is regrouping their fleet. Mostly. Oh, Fraternity. Looks like Fraternity is getting their loot on. Yeah. And you do have a bunch of these little ships that are, yeah, more Fraternity. Yeah. Frat's getting their loot on, boys. So we'll continue to, yeah, the max that died will probably be expensive. We'll continue to monitor the timer. And I actually think I can do something cute with that. Let me try. Oops, I'm gonna follow these boys here. Going to YTech J, it looks like. Let's follow them. Let's see here if I can